The woman was doing something with a pair of needles that couldn't be described as knitting. Oh, hi.
Bonjour, monsieur. Would you like me to foretell your future?
No thanks.
I'm very good. It only takes a minute.
Thanks all the same, but I'm not superstitious. Besides, if it only takes a minute, that's not much of a future to look forward to. Do you know a young woman called Nicole Collard?
Yes, I do. She lives upstairs from me in the apartment block across the street. The door isn't locked, but you'll need to give it a gentle nudge. It sticks, you see, because of the damp. The landlord said he'd fix it before winter sets in. He's been saying that for 3 years.
How long has Mademoiselle Collard lived here?
A few months. She's in for a shock when the cold weather comes. Drafty windows, insufficient heating. It's a struggle to keep warm. The only reason I stay is because the rent is cheap. Your young lady, she deserves better.
I thought Mademoiselle Collard was a successful photographer.
Not as successful as she makes out for all her fine clothes. Oh, I've heard her crying herself to sleep at night.
That's awful.
Now don't you let on that I've told you. She's proud, that one. Too proud, if you ask me.
Have you seen anyone out here watching Mademoiselle Collard's apartment?
Yes, I have. A strange man. Tall and thin as a broomstick. He kept his face hidden, but I saw his eyes peering from evil little slits.
How was he dressed?
A long brown raincoat with an hat.
Or like Humphrey Bogart?
Yes, but he didn't have Bogart's charisma. Besides, this guy looked like he needed a toilet. You never saw Bogart clenching his buttocks like that.
Is there anything else you can tell me about Mademoiselle Collard?
No, monsieur.
Are the flowers for sale?
Oui, monsieur.
Okay. I'll take a bunch of those white ones.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
No?
They are lilies, monsieur. Some people associate them with death.
Yikes. Well, thanks for telling me. What other flowers do you have?
Dahlias?
What do they signify?
Insecurity?
I don't want to give her the wrong idea about me. What about the tall yellow ones?
Those are iris, the flame of passion.
And the little yellow ones?
Sensuality.
Well, they're no use to me. I want to make an impression, not jump down her throat. I've changed my mind. Will you tell my fortune?
You're going on a long journey.
My, oh my. What a surprise. Can you tell me anything I don't already know? How does this fortune-telling routine work?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be selling flowers for a living.
Haven't you ever wondered why you were blessed with the gift?
Well, it's a bit like satellite television, I suppose. Some of us are born with a built-in receiver dish. I just happen to be one of the lucky ones.
Can you really foretell the future?
Only time will tell, monsieur. The strange thing is, I can't seem to see myself in the future. Other people, I have no problem. But when I try to see what might happen to me, nothing.
That must be scary.
Maybe. I figure it's a kind of natural safety mechanism. Either that, or I don't have a future.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur, you will.
Remembering the flower seller's advice, I pushed the door gently just above the lock. Hi.
Bonjour. I'm glad you could make it, monsieur.
Please, call me George.
Fine. I'm Nicole. Take a seat, George. Eh bien? And what have you been up to?
I've been exploring the sewers underneath the cafe.
I thought I could smell something bad.
The clown used the sewer to escape and to change out of his costume. I guess he was in a hurry. He left his jacket behind.
And?
I got his tailor's phone number.
You had better luck than I did.
Luck, she said. Luck. Hard work, I'd call it. What happened?
My editor told me to drop this story. Can you believe it?
But you're not going to do that.
Oh, no. I'm going to find out what's behind these killings.
It just doesn't add up. It almost feels like some sort of conspiracy.
The police in 3 different countries have kept very quiet about the murders. The press don't connect them at all. They blame them on political, religious, or militant minority extremists.
Well, that covers just about everyone. Tell me more about the clown's previous victims.
The first was Arnaud Bellotta, the millionaire pharmaceutical baron. He made his money from amphetamines in the post-war slimming and diet boom. Imagine it, millions of housewives literally speeding their butts off. The only witness in the case was his Filipino au pair. She swears he was lured to his death by a snowman.
What about the clown's second victim?
Yamada, the controversial Japanese politician. He inherited his fortune from his father's electrochemical consortium.
How did he die?
At the hands, or should I say flippers, of a giant emperor penguin.
A snowman, a penguin, and now a clown.
I had been about to add mine to the list, but stopped myself. I really didn't want to have to explain to George about my father's involvement with Cauchon.
You know, I hate to admit it, but this is scary. And I'll tell you this, I will not be accepting any invitations to costume parties.
I don't blame you for being scared. I am too. But this story could be my only chance for a big break.
Or an early death. Tell me more about yourself.
There's nothing much to tell.
Well, how'd you get into photography?
I guess I owe that to my father. He bought me my first camera. I was 8, and my parents had just split up.
Did you live with your father?
Yes. My mother went off with her new boyfriend. I didn't mind. Papa was all I needed. 4 years later, he died in a plane crash.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I don't mind talking about him. He was more like an older brother, really. Always joking and laughing. Papa always wanted me to study art. That's why I went to college.
Did you learn about photography at college?
God, no. I couldn't afford the materials. We were billed for everything we used. Paint, canvas, paper. Most of my year turned to minimalism. It was cheaper. I used to go poaching in the park for squirrel hair. The only time I wasn't hungry was the term I did printing. I used to eat the potatoes.
You're making fun of me, aren't you?
Oh, no.
I found this false nose in the sewer.
Hey, what's this inside it?
The contents of someone's nose?
Don't be cross, George. It says La Risée du Monde. Masks and costumes. It's a costume shop near the Gare Saint-Lazare.
I'll check it out. Maybe the owner remembers who hired the clown costume. I found a piece of material near the cafe. When I showed it to the concierge, he recognized it right away.
It's very distinctive, all right. Just wait until you see this. I developed a film I shot at the cafe. Here, George. It's an enlargement I made. Look what that guy's wearing.
Checkered pants. The same material as I found in the sewer.
That's right. This guy shouldn't be difficult to find.
Oh, no?
Take a close look at his right cheek.
A scar in the shape of a horseshoe.
Or a crescent moon.
I have to go.
Okay, I'll see you later.
It was an antique phonograph, the kind you have to wind by hand. The guy's spoon-shaped face was mournful and humorless. He looked like a vegetarian in a slaughterhouse. Excuse me.
Bonjour, monsieur. Please, come in. Welcome. Leave the mundane world behind. For in these four walls, fantasy is king.
I don't want a costume.
Didn't you ever dress up when you were a child?
Not that I remember.
Incredible! You'll be telling me next that you never shared your elder sister's lingerie.
I don't have a sister, and I think I'd look pretty silly in a brassiere. I just need some information.
Of course. How can I help you?
Have you heard of a man named Plantile?
I do not recall anyone of that name.
I'm looking for a man who hired a clown costume from you.
Oui, monsieur. I do not see how I can help.
Don't you keep a record of costumes that you've rented out?
Of course, monsieur, but...
Well, then, I'd like to check your records. Give me the names of everyone who's rented a clown suit.
Impossible. There are too many.
Does this dirty tissue mean anything to you?
Let me smell that. Bestheimer's number 7, white pancake.
Theatrical grease paint, right?
Oui, monsieur. La crème de la crème of Thespian accoutrement.
Have you sold any of it recently?
Yes, 2 cans.
Do you recognize this man?
Ah oui, he was here this morning. That is the man to whom I sold the grease paint. I remember the scar on his face. He chose 2 costumes, Bozo the clown and Seamus the pixie.
A pixie?
Very smart. Green silk with a taffeta lining. He gave me his name as Monsieur Khan.
Thanks for your help, buddy.
My pleasure, monsieur. Allow me to shake you by the hand.
Huh? Well, okay. What are you trying to do, kill me?
You did not find it amusing?
I never saw the funny side of electroshock therapy.
Eh bien, it is yours to keep. A gift?
Do I need a license?
No, but I give you a word of warning, monsieur.
What?
Remember to switch it off before you visit the toilet.
It was Rosso's sidekick, Sergeant Moo. Excuse me, Sergeant.
What do you want now?
I know the identity of the dead guy. His name was Plantow.
Is that so? You knew him, did you?
No, but
We'll know everything there is to know about him soon enough.
I'm trying to be helpful here.
The best way you can help us is to go home, monsieur.
Do you know a man named Khan? He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his right cheek.
No, monsieur. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume. Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Did he say what it was about?
No, monsieur.
Very well.
Hi, Inspector. Remember me?
But of course, Mr. Stobart. My mind is a well-ordered faculty. A mental classification system that's the envy of the Bibliothèque Nationale. No tricks, mark you, monsieur. Just exercise. Just as our muscles waste through inactivity, so our minds decay. But there is no need. If only people would learn to exercise their wits daily.
If he was trying to impress me, it worked. He was pompous and patronizing, but he had style.
Eh bien, if you called about the bombing, you're too late. Investigations have been closed.
But
Have been taken off the case.
what about the murderer, the dead guy?
It is out of my hands.
Did you find out the ID of the guy who was killed in the explosion?
I already knew who he was.
I heard that the bomb victim's name was Plantow.
Your sources are reliable.
He was a big shot at the Treasury, wasn't he? Maybe that's why you've been taken off the case.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I cannot comment.
Don't you want to know what I found out about the killer?
I told you, monsieur, the case is closed. I have washed my hands of the whole affair.
Then I'll have to continue my investigations without your help.
No. You must forget the business of the clown completely. Go back to being an ordinary tourist, Stobart.
So long, Inspector. See you later, Sergeant. It was just some police paperwork, a search warrant. It was a public telephone.
Hello? Who is this?
Mr. Todrick?
Oh, it's you again. What now?
The man I'm looking for is called Khan. He bought a suit from you, remember?
Mr. Khan. Yes, I remember him. Yes, I delivered the suit to his hotel. The Hotel Ubu. I don't remember the room number. It was upstairs. The second room on the right-hand side of the corridor.
Thanks, Todrick. That's all I wanted to know. Now I've got you, Mr. Clown. The man looked like an amiable Bigfoot. The guy looked just like a weasel. Excuse me.
Yeah?
Have you seen a guy dressed as a clown?
No, I ain't. Don't tell me I missed him. Oh, that's too bad. I love the clowns, don't you?
I've seen daytime television that was funnier.
I love it when the little guys get hurt.
That figures.
Custard pies, hose pipe down the pants, then smack! A plank in the kisser.
You ever meet a guy called Plantar?
No, I ain't.
You missed your chance. If you're quick, you'll catch him at the coroner's. Do you happen to know a guy named Khan?
That ain't nobody I know.
Do you recognize the guy in this photograph?
Is this a trick question?
No, I simply asked if you recognized him.
Okay then. No, I don't.
See you later.
Not if you see me first.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm looking for a clown.
Are you trying to be funny?
No, I really am looking for a clown.
There are no clowns here except you.
Have you heard of a guy called Plantar?
No, that name means nothing to me.
Do you know a man by the name of Khan?
No, I don't.
It's very important I get to see him, and
I told you, I don't know it.
do you recognize the guy in this photograph?
No, I never saw it.
The woman was obviously English. She had all the qualities of Boadicea, Elizabeth I, and Margaret Thatcher rolled into one. It wasn't a pretty sight. I recognized the guy. It was the Nobel Prize winner from the country whose name I couldn't pronounce. Hi there, ma'am.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
I'm looking for a man.
You disappoint me, my dear. For one foolish moment I thought... But never mind. Aren't you going to tell me your name?
George Stobart, ma'am.
How sweet! I once had a stable boy called George. I am Lady Piermont. The common reaction is to kneel and stutter, but it's not obligatory.
A real lady? I mean, you're an honest-to-God aristocrat?
Oh, I don't know about that. Few of my ancestors are honest, not even to God. I can trace my family back to the Normans, but don't let that intimidate you, George. Beneath that impressive pedigree, I'm just flesh and blood. The blood may be blue, but the flesh is the plump beef of old England, so to speak. You appear distracted, George. Is there any way I can help you?
Did you know there's a gangster out front?
What makes you think he's a gangster?
The Italian suit and the bulge in his pocket?
I know plenty of men with Italian suits and bulges in their pockets. That doesn't necessarily make them gangsters.
I'm looking for a murderer.
Good heavens! You're a private detective.
That's correct, ma'am.
What's the term you Americans use? It's on the tip of my tongue.
I believe what you're thinking of is Dick.
Precisely.
Have you come across a man who calls himself Khan?
I am familiar with only one person named Khan.
Genghis Khan, the legendary Mongol barbarian chieftain?
No, darling. Kevin.
Kevin Khan? I never heard of him.
I'd be most surprised if you had, darling. He's a pharmacist in Hemel Hempstead. Organises fundraising for the Rotarians. Lovely man.
Does he have a scar on his cheek?
I really wouldn't know, sweetie.
Are you here in Paris on vacation?
No, darling, I'm on holiday. I needed to get away after Algy's funeral.
I didn't realize you were mourning the loss of a loved one.
I'm not. He was my husband.
I'm sorry to hear about your husband's death.
You wouldn't be if you knew him, my dear. It gave me the opportunity to take a well-deserved holiday. Daphne suggested a change of scenery. Paris, she said. The wild romance is just what you need to take your mind off the inquest. Well, the closest I came to romance was being wooed by a drunken Breton chef. I must say I was disappointed with his coq au vin. Not at all what I was expecting. I was thinking of cutting my holiday short, packing my bags and heading back to Hemel Hempstead. That was until last night.
What happened to you last night?
I was stricken, Mr. Stobart. Cupid's arrow has cleft my bosom.
They couldn't really miss.
It was just as I'd always imagined it should be. The intimacy of candlelight, romantic music tinkling across the room, and then a stranger's glance, those brooding eyes, that suave manner, those tight trousers. He was the man I'd been waiting for all my life.
I'm glad he finally turned up after all these years.
Ah, but it wasn't to be. He was merely toying with my affections. And if I ever catch up with him, he's dead.
Who was the guy who led you on?
His name is Merlin.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
My God, it's him! That's Merlin!
She represented everything I loved about the English. The lady was totally deranged. Merlin? You mean King Arthur's wizard?
Good heavens, no! Monsieur Merlin is a fellow guest. He's the man I've been telling you about. That's the man who spurned me.
The man you know as Merlin is a fake.
What do you mean, sweetie?
He's a murderer. He also uses the name Khan.
I am shocked, Mr. Stobart. Shaken. I took him to be a gentleman, a man of honour. Do you know, I'd rather like to assist you in stitching him up.
When did you last see Merlin?
It was no more than an hour ago. He came downstairs and spoke to that clerk chappie. Something passed hands. I couldn't see what exactly.
A briefcase?
No, smaller than that. A bundle of papers, perhaps. The clerk put it in the hotel safe and Merlin went out.
Are you sure you saw Merlin putting documents in the safe?
Yes, darling, positive.
I wonder what they were.
Obviously something of great importance.
Yeah, I'd sure like to get my hands on whatever it is. I'll bet they had something to do with Plantow's briefcase. Has Merlin returned to the hotel?
No, he hasn't. Are you going to search his room?
If I could get in there, I would. Excuse me, didn't I see your picture in the news? You're that Nobel Prize winner from some unpronounceable Eastern European state.
Yes, that is me, in person.
I don't want to worry you, but have you had any threats on your life? You know, mysterious phone calls, letters made up of headlines cut from the newspaper.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know a guy called Plantow?
I don't know anybody in Paris.
Oh, well, this guy's dead anyhow.
Why do you ask me about dead men? I have seen enough of death to last me a lifetime.
I'm, sure you have. Have you seen a clown?
I beg your pardon?
The clown. A guy in funny pants. Have you seen him?
My pants are from England, Marks and Spencer. They are a pleasure and a comfort to wear, with much support.
I'm real glad to hear that. You know, it's good to know you Nobel Prize winners are human too.
In my country, the people make do with string and egg cartoons.
For pants?
For everything. Oppression is the mother of ingenuity.
Do you recognize this man? He calls himself Khan.
Yes, I know this man. Why do you carry his photograph?
I'm a private detective. What's your interest in Khan?
He is an enemy of my people.
You know he's a killer.
Of course, amongst other things.
Would you help me investigate Khan?
That is not possible. My instructions are to observe. I cannot jeopardize my position as an honored guest of this country's government.
Thanks for your help.
Goodbye.
The sign on the door read 21. The door was locked. If the tailor's description was correct, this was the killer's room. The sign on the door read 22. The sign on the door read 22. The door was locked. Hanging from a brass hook was a key and a plastic tag.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
What?
You are trying to steal that key, no?
No way. It was the register of guests staying at the hotel. The clerk wore a disdainful expression like he'd been born with it. I want some information.
Who are you, the police?
I'm conducting a private investigation.
Ah, I know only too well what you mean. That is one of the drawbacks of the catering business. When people book into an hotel, they leave their morals at home, no?
I'm looking for a man who dresses like a clown.
This is a highly respectable hotel, monsieur. There are no clowns here.
If you say so. Do you know a man named Plantar?
No, monsieur.
I'd like to retrieve something from your safe.
Ah, oui, monsieur. May I see some form of identification?
Like what?
A driving license, perhaps?
I don't drive.
Your passport?
I don't have it with me. I could show you my operation scar.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I must have some form of unique ID.
You won't find a more unique ID than my scar.
I'm sorry. I must insist on a more traditional identification.
Rats. About the key hanging on the hook over there.
Oui, monsieur.
Which room is it for?
Number 21.
Is that room taken?
No. The guests checked out this morning.
I'd like to check into room 21.
That is not possible.
How come? You said it was vacant.
It is reserved for another guest.
Rats.
No, monsieur. Dutch.
Do you have a guest by the name of Khan?
No, monsieur. Perhaps you would care to check the register.
The man who calls himself Khan has a scar on his right cheek.
Vraiment? I tell you, I do not know a man named Khan.
Maybe not, but I noticed a change in his expression when I mentioned the scar. Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Yes, monsieur. That man is one of our guests.
What name?
I cannot tell you that.
It's Merlin, isn't it? Alias Khan, the clown.
I told you, I cannot tell you that.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello, George. What can I do for you now?
Would you distract the clerk while I borrow a key?
Are you asking me to aid you in a criminal act, darling?
Oh, no. It's the key to an empty room.
And why, may I ask, do you wish to gain access to an empty room? Do you plan to squat?
No, ma'am.
Scouts honor?
I was never in the Boy Scouts, ma'am.
Oh, you should have been. What were your parents thinking of? It's a fine way for a boy to get licked into shape. Now tell me, why do you want to get into that room?
It's next to the room the killer is using.
Ah, so you plan to eavesdrop on Merlin?
I was hoping there might be a connecting door.
Well, how can I refuse? I shouldn't think my feminine charms would be much use in this case, but a good dose of English arrogance might do the trick. I say! You there? Flunky!
Oui, madame.
Listen carefully. You do understand English, don't you?
But of course, madame.
Good. I wish to deposit some jewellery for safekeeping.
I understand.
Are you quite certain?
Oh, bien sûr, madame.
Over to you, my dear.
Maybe it wasn't the right room, but this was the right key. The cabinet was empty, but it smelt of onions. No kidding, it really did. A cabinet stood beside the bed. The cabinet had no drawers, just a single door. The assassin had been too smart to leave incriminating evidence beside his bed. The bed was several times larger than the narrow cot I'd been given at the place I was staying. The bed was freshly made, and the crisp white sheets told me nothing about the killer's habits. It was the battered leather briefcase I'd seen Plantar carrying just before he died. I searched the interior of the briefcase, but, as I'd half expected, it was empty. The closet was a solid, impressive piece of antique furniture. It was Khan. I had the kind of feeling in my stomach that would usually send me running to the bathroom. As Khan opened the wardrobe, I was sure I was dead. But he grabbed his pants quickly and didn't even see me. I didn't usually spy on men getting changed. But this guy was a killer, and I didn't want any surprises. He left his checkered pants on the bed. I wondered if the guy was colorblind. I had that kind of feeling you only get from searching still warm pants. There was nothing in the pocket. There was no bulge in the pocket. The pocket was empty. A strip along the side seam of the pants had been unpicked, then sewn back up with strong thread and a special stitch. I flipped the pants over. It looked like there could be something in this pocket. I found an ordinary matchbook. No matches, no clues. But as I pulled it from the pocket, a strong thread came with it. A thread with a metal tag on the end. I pulled on the metal tag and the thread came out of the pants. It was like pulling out a ripcord. I tried not to think that the assassin's butt had just been in here. I found nothing in the pocket. I turned the pants over again. I searched the pocket gingerly and found a pass card. It read, Thomas Merlin, Gruber Electronics Corporation.
What now, monsieur?
Does this pass mean anything to you?
That is Monsieur Merlin's property.
That's right. Merlin the murderer. I want to see what he's left in your safe.
Impossible. I cannot betray his confidence, no matter what you say he's done.
You're making a big mistake.
Maybe. I can live with that. A murderer? Are you sure?
Positive. Hi, ma'am.
Hello, George. What can I do for you now?
I found this pass in Merlin's room.
So, that deceitful little man is passing himself off as an electrician, is he?
Uh-huh. This guy probably has a million faces. I showed the pass to the clerk, hoping he'd give me Merlin's papers. But he wouldn't buy it. He's too scared.
I'll give him something to be scared of. Follow me, George! Did you place a package from Merlin in the hotel safe?
I did, madame.
And did my friend here show you Merlin's identification?
Indeed he did, but
What's the problem?
he isn't Merlin.
A mere academic detail. Give him the package.
But that is against the law.
I happen to be a justice of the peace, you silly man. I am the law. If he tries anything, shoot him, George.
My pleasure, Lady Piermont.
One moment, please.
You know, I haven't enjoyed myself this much since Greenham Common.
I don't know what I would have done without you, Lady Piermont.
Voilà, monsieur. Le manuscrit de Monsieur Merlin.
Thanks.
How satisfying. An Anglo-American alliance that actually worked.
The clerk had given me a tightly rolled sheet of parchment. I decided not to unroll it until I was safely back in Nico's apartment. The cobbles of the alleyway looked very distant and very hard. I knew this was no way to treat an ancient manuscript, but I couldn't let it fall into the hands of the goons waiting outside.
Just a minute, monsieur.
What's your problem?
No problem, if you cooperate.
What do you want?
Just a routine security check. Nothing to worry yourself about.
Oh, well, all right.
Search him, Flap.
You bet!
Hey, knock it off. Get off, you big ape.
Nothing, Guido. Zilch!
Our apologies, monsieur.
What? I ought to report you to the authorities.
Round here, we are the authorities.
You want I should break his arms?
No. Let him go, Flap.
If the manuscript was what Flap and Guido were after, they were going to be disappointed. I couldn't wait to get back to Nicole's apartment and check it out.